So now we can have the questions from the panelists and from the GS executive who are part of this forum. Samresh, Dr. Rajkumar, Dr. Pankaj sir, Swati madam.
They were very great talks. I hope I'm audible.
Yeah.
Yes.
I was very, very educated. Both Dr. Raju and Dr. Khanduja, despite having these cameras, so much I got to learn today. I just wanted to know, I've always faced the problem with these two things. Number one is when most of these machines come with their own overlay boxes. Sometimes I wonder if there is a resolution drop with those overlay boxes when they're trying to add an element between recording and the camera itself. That's the first problem I faced, and I don't know if that's true or not. So I would love your update on that. How important is it to pay attention to the overlay boxes and the quality of recording that they downgrade?
The overlay boxes, you mean to say? Yeah, the overlay boxes. Most of the times, the company gives with their own recording devices. And most of these devices are actually, many of them, what we see is actually a little bit outdated compared to what is available in the market. And you have to see the resolution that is there, if there are any settings to improve the resolution. Some of them record by default in 720p. So you need to see whether it is recording in 720p or 1080p. And if you fiddle with the settings, probably you may be able to get a better quality ones. And the camera also. The camera, you have to see what is the output that is coming out of the camera to your device, which is integrating both the things. So troubleshoot these two aspects and probably you may be able to solve the problem.
I think that's why I brought it, because I picked up a Centurion and I got an Infinity overlay box with it. And after buying that Alpha 7 S2 camera, after listening to both Dr. Khanduja and Dr. Megor, I got that camera and it was not taking the input of the full HD in that. So I had to request to the company and get another overlay box to be able to sort of handle that.
They may have some issues with the input that is, they can configure. So it is something to do with their device rather than to do anything with the camera part of it.
What I have seen in general, the overlay decreases the quality and creates a certain amount of jerk in the video. And that we have seen very frequently in live surgeries. The sponsors are over our head, to present the overlay on the screen. And finally, we have to remove it more often than not because it decreases the quality of the main video.
I have a question for Dr. Raju. Dr. Raju, what adapter are you using for mounting your DSLR or your camera onto the beam splitter?
Right now, this was the first adapter that 3D Medisys supplied to us from Ambala, the 3D Medisys company from Ambala. And this is way back in 2017. This was the first adapters that was done for Sony A7S2. So to know the history a little bit, actually Dr. Deepak Megor was the first person to develop this adapter and he got it done for GH4. And me and Khanduja were exploring it for retinal surgeries because GH4 was not such great recording for retinal surgeries. And then we requested the company to do an adapter for the Sony A7S2, and this is the old adapter that I have. And after that, they've actually gone ahead and done some modifications and improvements. But anyhow, I am very happy with my old adapter, and I continue to use it for my surgeries. And I record right now in HD quality because most of our projection systems, for all practical purposes in all conferences, are just HD. And 4K recording and as well as archiving and editing is quite a heavy task. So I'm sticking to HD right now, and this is the adapter that I got from 3D Medisys.
So this adapter, does it get fitted onto the beam splitters provided by the Carl Zeiss or the...
Yes.
So you just need to replace the C mount and put the adapter, that's it.
All you require is a camera and the adapter because these cameras have internal recording.
Yeah.
What I've done is I got a 128 GB hard, the smart card, SD card, and you can record for 1 day surgery into that, and at the end of the day I come back home and just take the SD card, so put it onto my HD drive, and that's it. That's the end of it. So I don't require any external recorder. So basically what I want to do is to spend the least amount of money for recording surgeries. That's it. So we don't have to have an extensive system and everything. That will the cost of the medical grade camera would be somewhere around 12 to 17 lakhs. So with 3.5 lakhs, we are able to achieve what they are achieving.
And one
Dr.
more.
Arun will require a 256 GB card because he's a high volume surgeon. 128 will not suffice for him.
Two cards. That's it.
2 cards. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dr. Rajkumar sir, now your questions to Dr. Rajiv. Sir, you are muted. Yeah.
Is Dr. Rajiv still here?
Yeah, he's.
Thanks, Dr. Rajiv. Just to summarize your talk, I think what you wanted to say was brolucizumab is better in drying the retina. It is non-tolerant to fluid, and there are no fluctuations or variations, as you said, in the CMT, and the patient has fewer visits as well as better visual acuity. But there are few questions, like if you dry up the retina too much or the macula too much, aren't you afraid of macular atrophy, which has been reported by CAT as well as in Ivan also? What do you have to say about that?
Yes. So again, that's a fluid and atrophy story.
Yeah,
That fluid gives some protection against atrophy.
right.
And drying the fluid may not be a very great idea. So if I showed that Harbor study post hoc, it did show that a little fluid, if you leave it, but actually in our clinical practice, we are not much worried about atrophy because these atrophies are not like a geographic atrophy
Right.
or a large patch. These are usually a small area of atrophy which happens. And again, it's a questionable thing. How I have not seen many of these atrophy even after giving multiple injections. As I told you, we are more worried about, we get more of these under treatments. We hardly have a patient who gets about 20, 25, 30 injections. And no, we get usually patients who have very less injections and in between skips the injection and at the end leads to a suboptimal response.
So you
So
think
here-
the number of injections which is responsible for it?
Yeah, so number of injections may reduce. Again, if you look at post-hoc, then analysis of Harbor as well as the even they did for a CAT initially, they didn't find that the dose of injection, ranibizumab, or the number of injections were anyway related to the atrophy. So no, that is something. But here the aim is because these numbers and everything will reduce, and we get an early response. I think that is something which we are looking forward for, especially in our patients who will not come that often for a very regular injection.
Second,
So would you also, okay sir, you can continue.
since you are a pioneer, at least in India, and about the artificial intelligence in this, what do you think is going to be, what do you imagine as the subject of the symposium is imagined? What do you imagine of the home-based OCT? Is it possible and in near future?
Yeah, I
how is
think
it
many
going to
of
be useful?
many of you would have seen Dr. Annette Lowenstein's talk, which during lockdown she has shown about the home OCT, the Notal device. A lot of Indian players too who are working, and I have a prototype which is a handheld small OCT. There are challenges, but definitely it will come. But the challenges today is exactly like the quality of the images are not that great because again it's a little heavy one, but all these will improve with time. Utility as far as home OCTs in India, I have my doubt because home screening even for diabetic retinopathy with the fundus cameras are a little problematic. It will find its niche somewhere in screening, I would say, but management, I have my doubt because we are getting more and more good quality, high quality images, where we can really make out all the components of the membrane, and now angio OCT is also coming. So the developments in OCT has been really very fast. Using it for a therapeutic purpose, for treatment, I think it may take some time. I don't foresee using it for screening at home and then treating it because definitely forget about injecting at home. I think that is, it would be a
Regarding the
far-fetched dream.
intraocular inflammation with brolucizumab, there is a lot of talk and people are scared. It is available in the market. I have yet not used it. What would you suggest us? Why should we go and use this new molecule with an increased risk of intraocular inflammation and vision loss when we have enough
I agree. I fully agree with you. I fully
compounds
agree.
available?
Yeah, I fully agree with you. There is always this doubt. But see, as I told you, we need to look at that perceived benefit, how much we are getting. So if in a patient who has been resistant to multiple injections, he has not responded pretty well, and we know that he will form a scar there, central scar, and the vision will go if we are not treating adequately. And with the residual fluid, we don't want to, he's still maintaining activity. I think in these cases, that's the reason I told to start with. Probably it will develop more confidence to us. Probably if we start treating these type of cases.
Yeah, that was a nice slide.
Yeah, definitely not the one-eyed patient. But see, if you look at the risk, again, 1 in 1,000 is the risk. In India, 1 in 1,000 means a lot. Outside country, because we do give many injections. So the risk is definitely there. I would not say that there is no risk, but I think in a select group of patients to start with, and if we get more confidence, probably. And as I told, Novartis is doing a good work of creating this think tank. Recently, there has been a good publication by the think tank group.
By the safety.
Yeah, safety. So I think we will get more educated, and over a period of time, probably we will know the patients who would be the ones where definitely you should try to avoid. Though now it is, as I told you, it was more like personal opinion based on the case series which were published. But we will get some more answers that predicting factors and try to avoid these.
And before Vishal calls me to stop questioning, what would be your dream anti-VEGF?
Yeah, the dream is all these treatments are only looking at VEGF. There is much more in AMD than VEGF. So
my dream would be to give just one injection for 1 year, and that's all.
Yeah, so dream will come true, because there are a lot of works happening. I will not go to depot ones which are injectable every time, but now even gene therapy, people are now trying to develop some, and it's in phase 2 and even phase 3 trials are going to start. Once you inject the drug, it is all factory. It generates anti-VEGF inside. So it keeps on, so it changes in the gene and causes the manufacturing anti-VEGF. And both for Eylea, aflibercept, there is a drug which is there, and even for ranibizumab. So subretinal implant which will just keep on releasing anti-VEGF. So,
but that would require surgery.
Yeah, it's a surgery. So once you do the surgery and put it, it's a lifetime. You don't have to inject any time. So there are a lot of things in pipeline, and I think these will be the exciting era.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Rajiv. It was
with a lot of port-related complications in extrusion also. So that is associated.
Yes. No, with the implants, yes. But what I'm talking about is the gene therapy.
Yeah, gene therapy is a different level.
Yeah, it is the gene therapy. It's not like you need to implant within the retina. It's a gene therapy, basically.
There's a question from Dr. Ashish Kedia to Dr. Sumit Khandoja. What is the difference between Sony A7 S3 and S2? And which one is better for video recording?
Sir, A7S3 is just getting launched. It just got recently launched, and the sensor is almost the same, except that in 4K it can record at 120p. A7S2 can record at 60p in 4K. So it's almost, the sensor is slightly better, but the basic configuration, the ISO range is the same in both of them. I think A7S3's price is not even disclosed yet.
Yeah. Dr. Virendra, your comments?
I just wanted to ask Dr. Rajiv that what he was showing, I am not a retina man, so I may be forgiven for my mistakes, but the 3 milligram and 6 milligram brolucizumab were having effects better than aflibercept. So do you think that company is going to launch 3 milligram also, or maybe a 4 milligram?
No, usually,
Microgram or milligram
even if you
whatever.
look at Lucentis, all these drug trial in US, they are supposed to do 2 doses. That's the reason they did. I don't think they will come out with a 3 milligram dose, because 6 milligram is something which they have already formulated and commercialized. Definitely, they will not reduce it.
My only apprehension is the vasculitis may be dose related also. Maybe it is synthetic,
I
or
agree.
maybe a dose related.
I agree with you, but somehow in the Hawk and Harrier, they did this sub-analysis of 3 milligram and 6 milligram. Was there significant difference, but it was not related to those in that study. However, the number of cases were less, but this may be one of the point which think tank may look into.
I have a question to follow up for you, Alyssa. See, basically, you said that the inflammation is around 1 in 10,000, if I'm correct. If I'm
No, 1 in 1,000.
1 in 1,000.
10 in 10,000. 10 in 10,000.
10 in 10,000.
That
Okay.
becomes 1 in 1,000.
1 in 1,000. So 10,000 means from the launch, say from October till February or March, has Novartis or sold 10,000 injections, or 10,000 injections have been given in the after market study?
I think it has been given, because one of the article of Dr. Ashish, he has mentioned that globally, I don't remember the number, but it is more than 10,000 which have been given.
Two case series saying 110, another 20. It's a big number to be published within 3 months. And we are saying 1 in 1,000. So probably have they given so many injections in that?
Yeah, I think given, I don't remember the Ashish Sharma's one of the editorial, I think in IE, which he has published. There he has told that during this time in US, how many were given.
Okay.
So it is more than 10,000. That's what I remember.
Dr. Pankaj,
I
sir,
think 42 case. If it is 42 cases reported of vasculitis, the 42,000 must be the injections. It may be my apprehension, not on a negative side, that they are trying to keep the price lower in India to assess its efficacy also,
Let me just see
and the
that.
complication rate. They
I
should not
think-
be a guinea pig.
Yeah, I agree. I don't see that they will be probably looking at that. They want to see how many are there. They already know that it causes inflammations. They have already come out with 1,000 patients, one will develop it. So I think the aim, I don't think should be that a malicious aim to have as a guinea pig use Indian eyes. We should be alert, because our numbers are really huge. If in 3 months in US they have given 42,000, in India it would be more than 2,42,000 or 3 lakhs injections. So we have to be more concerned.
but the price factor is there. We won't be injecting so many higher end anti-VEGFs in India as much as we do for Avastin.
Yeah, I agree. But the one thing which they have kept is price nearly similar to
Yes,
ranibizumab.
but they are all covered by insurance there in the West.
Yeah. So that numbers will reduce. I'm talking about country, not as an individual person. But if you look at all the practitioners,
Mind.
yeah, keep that in mind. The numbers will definitely be much more in India.
Dr. Swati, any comments on the talks or any questions to the speakers? Because you are into slit lamp photography, you are a cornea person. Any comments for you? I think she's not there. Dr. Swati, Dr. Pankaj? Oh, she's there. Dr. Swati, can you hear me?
Yeah, I have a question for Dr. Khanduja. In my personal experience, I have a inbuilt recording system in my Zeiss microscope. So what happens is, a lot of times that you said that you need to focus in between what you see and what is being shown on the TV. But the focusing that you were talking about was not there in my system. So how do we need to focus that up? Because even if we, a lot of times when we get the optics to 0, and still the focus lags. So
Which system do you have?
this is it's an inbuilt camera with the Zeiss microscope,
So, ma'am,
Lumera.
is it a Lumera 300?
Yeah.
Ma'am, so Lumera 300 people, they have the Ikegami single chip camera inside it.
Okay.
Yes. So these are mostly, ma'am, coaxial cameras, and if your eyepiece, I mean, if you put the oculars on 0,
Yes.
and still if there is a mismatch, then ma'am, then your service guy, he needs to see it.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, because I didn't see that knob that you were
No, no.
talking about to do focus it.
The focusing knob Dr. Raju was referring to is in the adapter that is supplied with
Okay.
which you use to latch it to the commercial camera.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
That's the biggest.
Whenever you use beam splitter, and on that if you mount a camera, then there is a focus ring. But that is not available with the Sony cameras.
Okay.
It is available. Sony camera means medical grade camera. It is available with the Ikegami medical grade camera or the adapter node. You prepare it. So adapter is available from Zeiss also and from this what 3D Medicis Bola. That also is there.
Okay.
Just want to add, it was really, both talks were excellent talks and gave a lot of insights on how to take the images. And one thing which I'll again try to tell, which has been already told by Dr. Raju, camera are important, but it's more important the person who is using the camera, the person behind it. I think it was reminding me of my fellowship days where my guru, Dr. Tarun Sharma, he was trying to take a video of a very bad diabetic. That time we didn't had many good recording systems, and even the monitor was a small TV which he was doing. He wanted to use it for some international conference, and no wide viewing system. He just made no contact system he used so that he gets a good video, and he was looking at the monitor. He didn't. That was not the type of heads-up vitrectomy. But he did that bad diabetic vitrectomy just seeing at that small monitor. He didn't look into the microscope at all. So I think it's important to see what you are recording to get a good quality thing. I think that is something which you may have the best of cameras, but if you don't have that knack, you cannot take good videos.
In addition to that, I would say that it depends on your preference also, sir. And there are 3 categories of that. One is if you want to record for your own learning and revise what you have done, or especially for the younger people, what mistakes they have done in the surgery. So that does not require a very expensive or very high definition camera. And the second category is, Dr. Raju said, these commercial cameras, very good for CMEs and presentations. And the third category is, that hardcore competitive maniacs who compete on not like me, but who compete on an international and national level, and then they have those 3D and those medical grade cameras. So it depends on your preferences. But the bottom line is, we have come a long way in the past decade, and just theoretical presentations are, I think, now out of the loop, and everybody gets bored with them. And you have to have a database of your own videos, not giving credit to someone else, and you have your own budget and your preferences, but show your videos, record every surgery of yours, and you never know what masterpiece is in the making at the end of the day. So record every video. That is my take on video recording.
I think one more thing just I remembered was Chitrakoot. So I used to go there to train them about a couple of years back. They started a video auditing. So their cataract surgeries of all their PGs, they record it, and 10% of them, they do a video auditing. I think especially in a teaching institutes, that is an excellent tool.
Yeah.
Do we have any more
I
questions
think-
from the panelist? Dr. Virendra?
I think your take-home message is the same, that everybody should start recording their own cases, because you don't know when the complication will happen, how will you manage, and it may be good for your own learning, or it may be a good video for winning a prize in any conference, how you manage a difficult case or difficult time. But complications can happen anytime. So if you are not recording all cases, you may miss that chance at that particular day. So I think I'm just repeating what Vishal has said, and I learned it that you should record all your cases. So I'm trying now to record all cases.
Also archive them and use them in the future. Just don't forget them.
And there are many people who keep recording retrieval system, that what all is there in that one particular video or in hard disk or where you label it and you can find it in a later time at the time of use.
Dr. Vishal, I have one question to Dr. Raju or to Dr. Khanduja. You have described about how to record cataract surgery or anterior segment surgery. You have advised and described how to record a VR surgery. But what is the best way to record a scleral buckling surgery actually? If you are not doing it all, you are not doing everything under microscope, because you have to see with the indirect also.
Okay.
What is the best way?
Now, most of us do operate scleral buckles under microscope only. I do operate under microscopes. But if you are not wanting to operate under a microscope and still use a camera, then you have to use these cameras with the lenses on a stand at a particular distance, and then you have to zoom it up and then record. But I don't think you will get the same kind of quality that you get when recording on a microscope. I operate all my buckles on the microscope itself.
Okay, and you don't use indirect ophthalmoscope?
No, only at the time of indirect ophthalmoscopy we change.
How to record that?
Sir, if you want to record for teaching purpose, I think your main idea is that how do you teach your students that what is the buccal indent and how does indentation in direct ophthalmoscopy look like?
How to look for breaks, how to indent, and how does a break look like? How does a cryo mark look like when you are applying the cryo?
Sir, for that, I think
use your teaching mirror on a indirect ophthalmoscope.
Or indirect video
recording.
Sir, the other thing is I do a lot of smartphone indirect ophthalmoscopy. I do a lot of handheld smartphone indirect ophthalmoscopy. That helps. And the other thing is that for indentation, I generally take the help of a third hand. That is my assistant. So he indents. I teach him that you indent. You go 1 millimeter behind the limbus, 2 millimeters, 3 millimeters. Else, because otherwise, what you can also do is you can use the MI ret cam. So all these, that is a good tool. I can personally share with you the smartphone indirect videos that I have shot. They're phenomenal videos. You can teach the children how how a scleral indent, buccal indent looks like. How does an HST look like? I also use all these smartphone videos to, I take photographs of these ROP children, especially the AP ROP ones. And then I show them videos from LVPI website and the YouTube webpage that what's actually, the extent of the problem with the child. So that I've been doing since 2014.
ROP pictures with the smartphone.
Yes. I'll share,
I would be glad to see that. Thank you.
What we are doing is now using a 25 gauge chandelier and putting it at 6 o'clock, and that works well with the microscope mounted recording system that you can use.
The endoluminator assisted buckling, but not everyone does that.
Yeah, that is one way of doing it. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, if we don't have any questions, I would like to conclude the session, and on behalf of the JS executive, I profusely thank all the speakers for their wonderful talks which have made the webinar an academic feast, all esteemed panelists and all the delegates who joined us today. I would also like to thank Novartis for providing the logistics for today's program. Hoping to see you soon with another academic activity. Thank you again. Good night, sir.
Thank you.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thanks to all the speakers.